This is Football at 4.
You talk about bang for your buck in the offseason.
And you took him from a division
rival.
Wow.
Like, I can only imagine with John Murrah, the Giants owner, like what he's going through this whole season, just watching what Saquon Barkley has been doing for the Philadelphia Eagles. This man is going to haunt that team for a while.
Damian Woody, how do you quantify what Saquon Barkley brings to the Eagles? It's Football at 4, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. It's brought to you by Bet365. Whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Adam Caplan is here from the Inside the Birds podcast, which you can get on all podcasting platforms. And their YouTube channel, just search Inside the Birds. He brings his insight and analysis to us on a Friday edition as we look at the Eagles getting past the Washington Commanders. Their sixth straight win against the Commanders. Another big game by Saquon Barkley. They now lead the East by a game and a half over a Washington. They have started 8-2 or better 3 straight seasons for the first time in franchise history. Adam Caplan, how are you?
Mike, I'm well, and for all those Nick Sirianni haters, take that. it is really funny. Look, I was with some of those people. It's like, Nick, calm down a little bit. I've heard from some agents this week. It's just funny how this comes up. How, Mike, this is interesting. I didn't know we were going to go there, but I'll just give you a nugget. So they all like Nick. I've probably talked to 4 agents who have Eagles, but, they have players on a lot of teams. But I just happened to ask, hey, what anything Eagles-wise, and a couple guys brought up Sirianni, how much the players really like Nick. And they explain why he's got their backs. He encourages them. He coaches hard. Being a CEO, head coach, you've got more time to spend with your players, and they really like the guy. They play hard for him, and what you just gave out, Mike, is exactly why. Look, it's one thing to have good talent, but good talent does not become great talent with good coaching. And I'm real big into coaching, Mike. I learned from Joe Banner many years ago when I got to know Joe when we worked at ESPN, starting in 2014. Not that I didn't know coaching mattered, but he explained to me the hiring process of Andy Reid and how he thought Andy Reid, if he had to coach the defense, could coach the defense. Think about that. How he developed players, developed his coaches, and that stuff matters to me. It never wouldn't matter. You can't have both, one without the other. You got to have good players and you got to have good coaching. The Eagles have for that right now. It was an interesting game, and I heard you and Josh talking. Once again, they got off to a slow start. Hurts really struggled the first quarter. I mean, I wasn't as rough on him as maybe some other people were. I mean, there's some stuff out on social media. People are a little brutal. But one of the things I really admire about Hurts is he's very resilient, mentally tough. It could look really bad. He's missing pass targets left and right. I'm told that basically what's happened to him this season, Mike. His eyes are everywhere. He's not comfortable. He needs to settle down, but he usually settles down somewhat in the second half, Mike. If people watching closely, I'm not saying it's been great, but then he's running the ball extremely well. That first down that he had was incredible. That run to the right was, Mike, that was big time. I mean, you got to give him credit for that. So he perseveres usually. So look, they wound up winning. No doubt about it. We'll get into a couple things there, obviously, during the game. But, hearing you and Josh talk, listen, their schedule's been easy. That's a fact. Is Washington a good team? I haven't averaged a good team. They've had the Commanders have had a cake schedule, and unfortunately for the Eagles, they have an easier schedule than the Eagles do the rest of the way. But the Eagles have the better roster. The reason why I picked the Eagles last night, 27-20, I was close. It's because they have the better team. They're well coached. They just have a better roster, and obviously the separation of quarterback in terms of experience and better offensive line. And someone argued the game should not have been as close as it was, but there are reasons for that which we can get into. But look, as you said, their record is really good, second best record in the NFC, and they're rolling right now.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned a lot about Hurts, and people wonder, is he the guy that's holding this team back in the big picture? Is he the one? The passing offense still not where you want it to be, but the rushing game with Barkley, he just saved him again. I mean, after Washington goes for it on 4th down, controversial decision, they elect to go for it. They do not get it. Execution of that play, very poor. And then, interestingly enough, Adam, Philly would have been in a similar situation. It was going to be 4th down and 2 or 3, and if they didn't get that first down. It ends up being a touchdown, and we would have seen if Sirianni would have kicked the field goal to go up 15-10, or would he have gone for it in that situation? But Barkley bails Sirianni out of having to make that decision, and then 20 seconds later, he bails him out again.
It's just really, and I don't have the numbers in front of me. I'm going to reset search that. We're going to drop a show Monday morning on all platforms, and I want to see Barkley's first half of game rushing numbers versus second. It's just really, it's bizarre. I mean, it really is how first half, just okay, second half, elite. Barkley now has got 6 100-yard games this year, more than any NFL team, most by an Eagle in team history. It's just really remarkable what he's doing. He's scrimmage yards wise, 8 of 10 games. That's incredible. He looks awesome. Physical finishes. We've been on this second level stuff. He's the big knock on him, other than pass protection coming into the season, Mike, was he was not a good second level vision runner. He would run into contact. We were told sometimes not follow his blocks. I mean, I know the Eagles' offensive line's elite, but he's following his blocks well, finishing and exploding through the hole. It's not the way you teach the running back position. It's not speed to the hole; it's through it, and his speed through the hole is phenomenal. And the other thing is, the yards after contact, Mike, watch the defenders bounce off of him. They can't tackle him because he's big thighs, he's strong. And the yards before contact, Mike, that's because the offensive line gives him so much room to run. What a marriage between an offensive line and a running back, Mike. I've covered this team for roughly 25 years, and I've seen B. West, the front of the show, and Shady, and the other running backs that they've had in that time. I'm sorry, guys, no offense, Barkley's better than those guys.
Yeah, I was going to say, you take a look at what he has brought to this team because, look, Swift had over 1,000 yards. Sanders had over 1,000. I mean, Sanders had a huge year, 1,200 yards, 11 touchdowns.
By the way, Barkley went over 1,000 last night. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, and Barkley, when they signed him, I said, look, Swift had 1,000, Sanders had 1,200. To pay this guy this kind of money, he's got to eclipse those guys in output, and guess what? He's on his way.
All right, so I want to talk to you about something. I talked about this in our post-game show last night, and since we have a couple of minutes here, I want to expand on it. So, Joe Banner is a friend of ours of Inside the Birds. He was awesome last week, 40 minutes. If you're a Patreon member and you missed it, make sure you just scroll down. You'll find it. It's a great interview. You could either watch it or listen to it. But what Joe said was, and he and I had a very healthy debate in March. I didn't say they shouldn't sign Barkley. I said, man, $12.5 million a year for a guy who gets hurt a lot. He goes, yes, that's true, but you got to understand that $12.5 million is going to look like a bargain. I go, are you crazy? He goes, I'm telling you, the offensive line, the scheme. He's a big Kellen Moore fan. The scheme is very good. And then what Joe said on our show last week, I thought it was very interesting. And Jeff and I thought it was a great take. $12.5 million a year is basically a number 2 outside corner at best. It's a good but not great tight end. Would you pay for that? The answer is yes. So Joe's right. I was wrong. I was not wrong. Again, I was in favor of signing him. I thought the money was too significant because it was so above market. The Texans drove it up. But Joe made a great point. He was right. And it's just funny because Joe never wanted to pay running backs until they actually did pay B. West. Joe explained to me why he did it. Brian's last contract with the Eagles, then he unfortunately got hurt. But Joe's right. When you can sign an elite player, you go do it, and that's what happened.
I think I saw yesterday somewhere that his cap hit is the 456th cap hit in the league. In other words, there's 464 people whose cap hit is worse than Saquon Barkley's. But what about this defense? I mean, are we ready to buy in? Are you ready to turn the corner and say this defense can compete with a Baltimore offense, Kansas City's offense isn't great, but they got Patrick Mahomes. Are they ready to go toe-to-toe with the elite offenses in this league?
All right, well, just a couple things here, but just so you know, I just want to, before we move on, Barkley's cap number jumps up to $13.57 million, then in 26, $15.585 million. But, okay, so the defense. Here's the thing about going to training camp, Mike. You don't know sometimes what you're looking at. I thought defensively, in fact, I didn't think I know the pass rush was going to be an issue, and it is. But it's gotten a little better each week. Carter's been dominant. I know it's not about sacks, it's about pressures. But Carter's been unbelievable. He's playing an elite level. Sweaty looks good. Some of the Commanders told me that they thought Sweat's tape was much better this year than last year. They also told me they thought he was dragging that leg that was surgically repaired when he was in high school, which almost ended his football playing career. It was really close to being really tragic what happened to him in high school. So he looks good. BG looked good last night, by the way. Looked really good. I know his numbers are a little bit down. I thought he was very impressive. Nolan Smith showed up last night, actually technically started the game, by the way. It's really odd. You saw last week, Jalen Hunt played the most snaps he's ever played. In fact, he played in the second quarter. He didn't play on defense this game. So I don't question Vic Fangio. He's been unbelievable. Now the linebacker group, I've come to the nickname I've called him Downhill Dean. The way that he tackles, and Zack Baun is Mr. Diagnose and Key. He's been unbelievable, Mike. This is one of the most unique stories of my career of covering. I cover 32 teams, not one, but I've never seen anything like this before. A guy who's never played his position now becomes one of the best players at his position after 10 games. How do you explain that?
It's unbelievable. I mean, I saw our buddy Clay Harbor suggesting that he's got to be up for thoughts of an All-Pro year.
He does, absolutely. Yes, because he's playing at elite level. Greg Cosell does not throw around platitudes. We would joke more like potholes or manhole covers. He just doesn't. Greg doesn't give out a lot of compliments. But I asked him point blank last week, and he said Zack Baun is borderline elite, and I was kind of shocked.
I mean,
he said he's dominant.
You can't even believe what you're watching sometimes. The way he goes. I said they showed an end zone cam last night of what Daniels is watching, and all you see is the two linebackers, the two safety, and almost everybody in unison do what they're supposed to do almost perfectly.
All right, so Mike, on Amazon Prime, I think you talk about the field vision. You can see the all 22. So it's really funny because we were doing a Discord chat for Patreon, so I had that open. I had my other browser open on Amazon Prime, and then if I wanted to look at the TV copy, I had my monitor, my TV on. So this is crazy why I was doing this last night. This won't happen again because they're probably not going to have another Thursday night game, I don't think.
Not this year.
Right. So anyway, you could definitely see that, the all-22 folks. I really encourage you, if you can, to if you have Amazon Prime, make sure you watch the Prime. They call it Prime Vision. And you can get the all-22, and you could see Baun, just like Mike said, and the big-time play that he made, the sideline play, he sees it. It's called King diagnosing. This is the thing, Mike. I can't. This is a high-level point here. King diagnosing means you see it before it happens. It's like a quarterback who processes well. That's the thing I don't understand. If he's never played his position, how the hell is he doing this?
So would you put Jalen Hurts in the category right now of processing well?
No, he's not. Because it's everything I say is tape based. It's not something that can really be challenged.
Right? No. I agree with you. By the way, real quick, I know you got to get out of here.
But no, I got time here. I got a little bit extra time. But I want people to understand Jalen, because he's a good quarterback. He's not great, but he's good. He's somewhere. If we had to rank them in my top 10, top 12, the legs look great. He's healthy. Well, healthy. Well, hopefully his head's okay after. I know they said he didn't have a concussion, but let's hope there's nothing post-concussive. Mm-hmm. He's so resilient. I want to give him credit, and he still makes throws. Look, that's the funny thing. You saw it on the Prime Vision, how many throws he didn't make, and that was really bad. But in the second half, he made them. That's the crazy thing about him, but I just want people to understand it's nothing personal. My job is to tell the truth, and Greg Cosell and everyone who comes on our show sees it. Jeff and I talked to a lot of people around the league. They all kind of say the same thing. He doesn't see the field great. Maybe but the thing is, Mike, he can make every throw. That's the thing that's kind of maddening. But go ahead.
Yeah, that's what that bails him out sometimes. Is he makes the ooh-ah play. He balls out at certain times. Yeah. He talked about the run, but a third down, he misses Smith here. There's a guy open there. There's the one play where he has a little lane, he runs, but he's got a guy open. Yeah, those are perplexing plays. I want to get your take on what Washington did on fourth down. Obviously, it's been a hot button issue here. They're 4th down and 2 on the 26th. They go for it. After the game, Dan Quinn says, look, we're bold decision. We don't like the execution. They were 12 for 14 on 4th down entering that play last night.
Mike, that's why I remember during this Eagles Super Bowl run, I had a conversation with someone in their front office. I said, "Why the hell would you guys go for go for that fourth down play?" Because the data told us that we had a 70. I think the guy said it was like 72% chance we were going to make it. Let's say they went at their own 40, right? But it was 4th and 2, and they went for it. I don't remember the exact down distance. What I know the down was, I just don't remember the exact distance. And I go, really? That's good, but we're really good at it. I'm like, okay, you have to trust what the data tells you. And the meatheads these meathead coaches, by the way, I won't throw anyone under the bus here, but there's some coaches that have been in the league a long time that they go, screw the data. That's a bad play. Well, you also have to look at, you mentioned 12 and 14. This is one that I agree with the old schoolers, though. If your offensive line is having significant problems blocking, then you change it up. We talked about this a couple weeks ago, Mike, when Sirianni made the choice to go for it, and it didn't work out, and he didn't use it. They either didn't use a tush push or whatever. He screwed it. He went like he always does, but it didn't work. But I always say in game you got to adjust if your offensive line can't block it. Last night there were times when the Commanders got what they were looking for and ran the ball well. There were times they got shut down. To move this along here, I don't have a problem with 12 out of 14 times. I just don't. Now, one thing I would tell you, going back a long time ago, you might remember this. I'm going to say this is around, I don't have the exact year. It might have been 05, 06, 04. Belichick went for it against Peyton Manning, and they wound up losing the game because they didn't convert it. The data told them to go for it. It was at like their own 25. Then I didn't know anything about the data. I was not sophisticated or didn't know anything. I was so mad. I'm like, what is Belichick doing? Because if you miss it, the game's over. Well, you never think, Mike, you're going to miss it. The coaches don't think that way. And I was too naive then to think how stupid it was, how I thought it was dumb. Like, how do you go for it from your own 25 or 26 when if you know what happens if you don't get it, you're giving the Colts of Peyton Manning the ball right at the plus 25 or 26. You shouldn't do that. But if the data says you've got a 70% chance or more, you probably want to go for it, and that's the bottom line.
Yeah.
People don't like it, but that's what you do.
Yeah, I agree. That's the point. Is I think in Washington's case last night too, he's saying my offense is a stronger unit than my defense. He knows his defense is not the strong suit of that team, so he put the game in his offense's hand.
I will tell you, we talked about this week on Inside the Birds. We know Washington really well. Their offensive line is overachieved. It's really Sam Cosmi's a stud, although he got lit up a little bit last night. They have one good lineman, it's Sam Cosmi. The Eagles' offensive line more or less dominated that offensive line, which is why I picked the Eagles to win, and I thought they could actually win by more than 7. But I also think, Mike, Daniels did not look right, and I'm not saying the Eagles didn't have anything to do with it. They did. They hit him a lot. They beat him up a little bit. But I think Mosher brought this up. Jeff brought up the fact that it hits ribs. There was a throw, and we both saw it. We both texted each other. De'Ami Brown was wide open. The ball just never got there. I'm like, what? Like, that was a really bad throw. Like, there's something wrong with him. I don't know last night. And by the way, remember late in the first half, the last possession, why didn't they go for a Hail Mary?
Yeah, that was another perplexing situation where they just ran the ball on the final play of the quarter.
And they called timeouts, Mike. That was bad coaching. Now, I'm going to look into this just for my own edification. I'm going to ask someone with Washington, was he hurt? Because that was absurd. And by the way, Daniels was not on the injury report. So, who knows?
All right, well, Eagles win, and, of course, they'll have 10 days off. They'll play the Rams on Sunday Night Football next week. Another late night for all of us, but 8-2 the Birds are, and we'll have that game for you here on 97.3 ESPN. And, of course, football at 4 next week. Adam is back on Tuesday's show. Thanks, Adam.
You got it. Thanks.